Wait for it. Wait for it. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans and one chaos coordinator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to dive in. But Nick, how awkward was that extra 5-second pause on the intro? Thank you, StreamYards.
Super.
It just sat there for a few seconds. I'm like, did I hit the start button?
Like, I'm embarrassed for you, and I'm a co-host.
All right. So first, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. We're going to start with the outlaw author, Mr. Jesse James Fain.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jesse James Fain. I go by the outlaw author because the branding writes itself. I write sci-fi, mil sci-fi, fantasy, pretty much everything except for like traditional romance. Anything I can squeeze a gunfight, a fist fight, or a sword fight into, because that's all the stuff I like to do and I like to write about. And that's me.
Nice. So, Nick, I've decided if I can get a time machine working, I'm going to go back in time to talk to my mother before I was born and get a cool name like Jesse James. That is exactly how I'm going to use it. What's that?
Said then maybe you won't write Yeti porn.
Look, it is steamy Yeti romance. They have feelings.
Yeti erotica.
If they can do kaiju, Yeti's not that big a stretch.
It really isn't. And I've seen some of the stuff Stabby reads, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I go to Stabby and her reading preferences just so I can feel normal.
Oh, and she tells me about it. Like, I'll go to work and I come home because, like, during the day, that's what she does. She sits on the couch, she has her coffee, she reads her books.
Her stories.
And then she tells me about it. So I'm getting like a 30-second or a 30-minute recap on what she's read for like the last 6 hours. And I'm just like, it's kind of gross.
All right. Speaking of gross, we've got our favorite Marine, Mr. J.R. Wise.
Hi, I'm J.R. Wise. Like you said, I do eat the crayons. I write military sci-fi, a little bit of self-published stuff, also some stuff for Canon Publishing. Mostly do it as a way to work through PTSD stuff at the suggestion of my counselor. My wife talked me into publishing, and then I come talk to these guys sometimes because it's nice to know that other people is just as crazy as me.
We keep you around to make us feel like the same ones. And I actually started writing the same way, so I can appreciate it. Have your counselor started reading your published works yet? Because then you know you're in trouble.
Oh, she did, and we've had a long talk about it.
After one of my stories came out, that was a short story, he had his hand over the emergency call for help button that all psychs have. It's like, Mr. JR, is there anything you want to tell me today? And he's put the book in front of him. And I'm like, it's fiction?
My therapist did that to me when I released my first comic book. Like, he went page and by page and like psychoanalyzed it. And he's like, the main character is you, isn't it, Nicholas? So I'm like, okay, first of all, there's only a handful of people that call me Nicholas. We are not having sexual relations and you're not my mother. So call me Nick. And then just.
But you said you would be the big spoon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like being the little spoon. I'm going to admit it. Sometimes I just want to be cuddled. You know?
So
secure and safe.
I feel like, JR, we need to like get some sort of rule added to the DSM-6 when it comes out. The therapists are not allowed to read your published works. That ought to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, she did ask my permission before she did it, and
oh wow!
And I'm really happy that she spent a lot of time talking about all the little jokes in it, so that made me happy.
Was it gallows humor?
Oh yeah, it was dark as
yeah.
Now, Nick, you know what I just realized? Because I can read, I'm the grunt that does the words. You're the only one whose name doesn't start with a J today. This is the J podcast. You need to change your name.
It's always the N podcast.
All right.
And the N stands for Neanderthal.
That's true.
We'll call you Jicholas.
Wouldn't be the first time that people have modified my name to fit their socioeconomic or even ethnic background. For a while there, I was Lieutenant Garbero because I was the only white dude in an all Hispanic platoon. I was the platoon leader, and they're like, "Oh man, you're really cool, sir. So we're going to change your last name." And they started putting it on the mission logs as Lieutenant Garbero. They just added a note in my name.
So this is a family-friendly podcast, and so we're going to try to maintain those lines today. We don't always, when we get JRs together, we don't always do that. But I will say that when your last name has the word hand in it in the military, you do the math on the kind of jokes I heard. I'm just saying there was a reason
hand job all the time.
I wasn't going to say
hand job. Get over here.
I'm just saying there's a reason I got good at rugby because I had to have somewhere to displace my rage, and it works. But speaking of raging out, we've got our favorite biker, Mr. JT Aralle.
Hey,
Real gun.
Hey guys, I'm JT Aralle. I write a lot of sci-fi, mil sci-fi, and fantasy involving dwarves because my family constantly reminds me how much I look like one.
So I just want you to know that when I grow up, I want your beard.
Yes, the beautiful beard.
Nick was getting close, but then he shaved it, and now he looks like a 12-year-old girl.
It was an unfortunate shaving accident, JR. I couldn't help it. The guard fell off.
Now you look like every other woman and child.
All right.
Yeah, I can't use the phrase anymore of helmet protects head, beard protects face.
You'll get there. We can glue one on for now.
Too much.
Next, we have Mr. Jacob. We borrowed him from his wife Melissa, who is a frequent guest of the show. So we will link to all of her bookie stuff in the show notes. Melissa McShane, buy her stuff, make him happy.
I thought
there
the
you
background
go.
Was
yeah,
yes,
it's the same library.
I am writer adjacent.
That totally counts. You also create stories because you do the D&D stuff. Well, I actually think you guys do Pathfinder, right? Is that what Melissa said?
Yeah, we do D&D. We've been gamers forever.
That's awesome.
I think that might or might not have been what sealed the deal in our dating days. Was I brought her into our gaming group.
That's a winner right there.
Are you rolling D20s? Yeah, me too. You want to get married? Sounds good. Roll for initiative.
By the way,
there's so many jokes, but again,
there.
Nick, family friendly. Let's try that this time. All right.
No,
So,
how's that not family friendly?
I mean, trailer park family, but Jesse's writing that anthology, so
I just said roll for initiative. Hey, baby, you into D20? Yeah, I'm into D20. Okay, roll for initiative. It's a good.
You just stepped all over my segue trying to pimp out what Jesse James is editing for an anthology, man.
I'm not even sorry.
Jesse, do you want to tell us about your first editing role real quick before we do the religion questions and talk about Fallout?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the cat's out of the bag yet, but I guess it is now. I'm editing the next trailer park. It's going to be Trailer Park Double Wide. It's got some awesome stories. Gonna have one from. Let me make sure I get my pointing right. Yeah, gonna have one from this guy right here too, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so we're gonna get that taken care of. Be my first professional editing gig, just assistant editor. Well, but I'm excited for it.
Well, I'm gonna warn you, Jesse. There's 3 ways of communication in this world. There's telegraph, there's telephone, and there's tele-JR. And I'm sorry, you done messed up.
That's what it is.
This would not be the Blasters and Blades podcast without our religion question. So, since Fallout is post-apocalyptic, all of our questions today are themed as such. So, Mad Max, the Book of Eli, or I Am Legend. JR, you get to go first.
I'm gonna go Mad Max. Like, how could you not go Mad Max? Honestly,
speaking to my heart. What about you, Jess?
I really like the Book of Eli, but I gotta go with Mad Max. You get more movies that way. Mel Gibson's role is classic, and actually, I did really enjoy Fury Road. I know that's one of those movies people either love or hate, but for me, it was love. I thought that was a really, a good way to continue the series. I think Tom Hardy makes a good Max. So yeah, that's my pick.
Tom Hardy was a trash Max. Furiosa was good though.
Fair enough.
All right, JT.
Mad Max, but from the Mel Gibson standpoint.
Okay, Jacob.
The original.
I'm going to break the category a little bit. I'm going to go with Cyberpunk 2077, which is in fact technically post-apocalyptic, which is why there are no cats, dogs, or other meat. You have to eat insects.
They did that in what was it, Demolition Man 2, when he's having the hamburger and the female cop is like, it's a rat burger. He's like, do you see any cows around? I felt like that every time I was at a bazaar eating food. I'm like, I don't want to know what's in it. It tastes good and we're good.
Yes. Yeah. And I figure if I'm going to be a post-apocalyptic, at least I'll be able to run the net.
Fair. All right. What about you, Nick?
Oh man, so many good choices. Fan of all three. Mad Max, obviously. That was the benchmark post-apocalyptic movie. I even like Fury Road. I know a lot of people don't like Tom Hardy as Mad Max, but there's the fan theory that it's not the original Max. So it's the little wild child from the Thunderdome that grew up to be Max and took on the name. But I digress.
Okay. For me, it's the Book of Eli, but it's only because the twist at the end, I actually didn't see it coming. And I don't want to spoil it.
But spoilers.
I mean, that was not an intended pun. I claim all of my puns, but yeah, that was I did not see that coming. All of them are excellent choices, but that was it for me. All right. Next we have Planet of the Apes, The Children of Men, or The Postman. JR.
I'm gonna go Children of Men. I think Clive Owen was really awesome in that movie, and I thought it was a really interesting premise. And it was kind of cool how it was just like really dark and bleak, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, there was some hope.
Okay, I dig it. All right, what about you, Jesse?
Of the list, I agree. Children of Men, I believe, is the superior movie there. I'm also going to throw out Babylon AD. I think that Babylon AD was really cool. The world was really cool. You know, how people feel about Vin Diesel's acting is a whole different thing. But from a world building and a story perspective, I thought it was cool.
I'm just going to say they're family, and we're going to leave it at that. All right. What about you, JT?
I'm with Jesse on this. Children of Men is definitely the better movie. I would say The Postman, but I got halfway through it and I realized the movie wasn't over. I thought it was. and then it continued, and I was disappointed.
Wow. You just crushed my soul. All right. What about you, Jacob?
I'll admit I haven't seen fan favorite Children of Men, so I can't judge on that factor. But I'm going to go with The Postman because if you have a chance to be Will Smith, be Will Smith.
Absolutely. All right. And Nick, what about you?
The Postman. It had Tom Petty in it, so that was awesome.
This is Postman for me too as well. So, all right. Since we're talking post-apocalyptic worlds, would you want to thrive and survive in the wastelands, or are you happy cashing in your chips when things go belly up? JR?
Yeah, there was definitely a time right after I got out of the Marine Corps and I was a lot younger and in a lot better shape and a lot dumber when I'd been like, hell yeah, that sounds dope. I've really, in my civilian life, I've gotten really comfortable with things like air conditioning and eating every day. So no, I really don't want to deal with the post-apocalyptic world.
It's valid. It's valid. What about you, Jesse?
I mean, if it's the choice between that or buying the farm, I'm going to take that. But yeah, no, I'm not young enough for that anymore. I am fat and happy, and I only have to fight people when I want to fight people, and I get to eat when I want to, and I really do like my air conditioning. So yeah, I'm with JR on that one.
Okay, JT, are you going to break the mold?
Not really. Like, I mean, comforts are great, but I think I'm too ornery to cash in. I think I would do my best to survive and thrive.
Excellent answer. Jacob?
Yeah, if we... Wasteland seems like a huge pain in the children-friendly, so yeah.
The tuckus. In the tuckus.
I like it this way. Pain in the children-friendly.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
That sounds
Okay, what about you, Nick? I'm guessing you're too ornery to quit too.
No, I mean, like, I wouldn't cash in my chips. I would do my best to survive. You know, if there's one parallel skill as being a grunt, it's being homeless, and that's what you would be in the wasteland, is that you are eternally homeless. So you're gonna have to make the best out of a bad situation. Would it suck? Absolutely. Would I be able to get through it? Yeah. Would I have my problems? Absolutely. Would I probably try to be a warlord and unify tribes? Absolutely.
You've got to wear the who was it? Sean Connery that did the mankini when he was the warlord.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You got to wear
I
that.
could rock the mankini because Sean Connery then was in a lot better shape than I was, and his chest was like superiorly hairy and manly. Like, I don't know if I could pull that off, but I definitely would have like an armament and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely
all that stuff.
I'm definitely too ornery to roll over and quit. So yeah, I keep waiting for us to like accidentally have somebody stumble out. They're digging out, camping or something, and they find the bunker where someone's been hiding out since like Y2K was supposed to happen. Like, shit, that's over. We're gonna find them one of these days.
I mean, my dad was on Guam when they pulled that Japanese soldier out of the caves.
Was that in the 70s?
Yes.
Yeah, he thought the war was still on.
Yep. My dad was stationed on that island in the Air Force.
I didn't know it lasts that long until recently, but that's crazy. Maybe he knew it was over and he just didn't want to go home. Like his mother-in-law just bugged him and he's like, I'm just gonna stay here in this cave.
No, he didn't want to go through CIF. That's what he didn't want to do.
I believe that. I might actually stay in the war zone.
Oh, this still has dirt on it.
He's probably still cleaning his rifle, waiting for the armory to accept it.
God, I'd rather.
You broke up, JR.
Why does the Army say the letters and then the Marine Corps makes it over? Like, I've never.
What do you call it, SIF?
Yeah, SIF.
I don't. Well, I mean, we also don't eat crayons.
That's fair.
It's more syllables to say the letters.
There's a trade-off. Like, we say dumb shit. What do you
So
call the chow hall?
DFAC?
Yeah, we say chow hall.
Okay. The Army calls it the DFAC. The Marine Corps, and I think and then the Navy calls it the galley. I work on a Coast Guard base. They call it the galley.
The Air Force calls it the 5-star dining.
Yeah, they call it
the dining facility.
Sorry.
They say the whole damn words.
Yeah.
Dining facility. They drink with their pinky up. It's like, come on. Like, you're a corporation. You're not even the military.
Yeah. So, he probably didn't want to go into supply. I definitely feel that. But I did work with some Marines because the Guard in the reserves is full of former Marines. The Army reserves and the U.S. National Guard.
They were all recon snipers, too.
If you asked them.
My fourth recon, they were all snipers.
Hey, I was one of those Marines that went Guard. And the funny thing is like I never claimed to be a sniper, but I did get a Bravo 4 designator somehow on my ERB. But they also had my primary MOS listed as 88 Mike for some reason. So
truck driver?
Nice. Truck driving sniper. Paper.
I own the roads and I own the souls.
So wait. Were you really Motor T? I thought you were Grunt.
I was 11B.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. RS1 was really shitty.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right.
I've yet to meet a squared away S1.
No.
When I was
wait. Caveat: their stuff is always squared away.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody else's, but theirs is always perfect.
Defend.
All right. So
deflect.
if we're going to assume everyone lives in the post-apocalyptic wastelands with all the mutants and such, what do you want as a pet? JR. Sasquatch.
Deathclaw armor.
Absolutely. You could ride that mother effer.
Yeah, the one that could talk was it? I think that was from 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Jesse?
I think Deathclaw is the appropriate answer, but to give something a little bit different, I think it was Fallout 3 had I want to say they called them Yaogwai, but it was the hairless bears, the mutated bears. That would be. I go with that. That's another one that you could throw a saddle on.
Okay. All right. What about you, JT?
And this time I will break the mold. Brotherhood of Steel Platoon.
That's a hell of a fallout. That's a hell of a pet. I can't even be mad at it. I like it. Thinking outside of the box.
Expensive to feed.
You're skirting slavery laws there, man. I don't know.
That's totally fine in the Fallout universe. No
Well, I mean,
this is true.
you could join the NCR. They're pretty cool with that. I'm just saying. All right. What about you, Jacob?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting Deathclaw out of my head. I mean, that's just too damn cool. But I'm sorry, child friendly. Anyway, yeah. I'm more of a cat guy though, so I'm like Liger or whatever. Do some genetic experiment. I don't know. I don't want to be the master, but whatever. Like I said, Deathclaw. Let's go Deathclaw.
Okay. All right. What about you, Nick? You're going to say something like the Brahmin, aren't you? You can get a freaking cow. So
I was going to say the Bradley fighting vehicle, and I'd name it Sparky. But we're talking about some.
That's an apt name.
Yeah. As many times as I've been shocked by that damn thing.
Okay.
It definitely fits. But if I need an actual biomechanical being, I would probably say Battle Cat from He-Man.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Solid answer.
I like it. For me, I'm going to go with the ghouls, because they're kind of sentient. So I guess we're skirting the slavery laws again. But it's kind of cool to have a pet that talks to you. So really,
have a feral one.
Yeah, you could.
Battle Cat can talk, kind of.
Sort of, yeah.
Growl.
Battle Cat talks. Cringer doesn't really.
No, oh please.
Cringer licks himself.
Yeah. And the Yaogwai are the little rodent type things, right? Like mutated black bears.
Yeah, I think that's what they were called.
Yeah,
they're big.
They're not little.
Yeah.
In the pictures, when you look at them, I don't remember encountering them, but in the pictures, when you see them, they look like rodents, like almost like minuscule. So
I may be getting names mixed up here. Hold
I might
on.
be thinking about just the mole rats, like there's.
You know what? You might be right. I might be mixing it up. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, so how did everyone first find the Fallout franchise? Because there's been lots of properties out along the way. So JR, how did you first come into contact with the Fallout franchise?
Actually, when I was stationed in DC for a little bit, my roommate was playing Fallout 3, and it looked cool, so I bought it. And that's just how I got into it. And then I went backwards, played 1 and 2, and then New Vegas 4, which is my favorite. I did my best to like 76. Yeah.
76 could have been good if they had, I don't know, computer coders working on it.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's just recently got back into 76, and he says that the updates have made it a different game and made it so much better. There's storyline, there's NPCs, there's decent through line on it, and I joined up enough to see that yes, that's true. He's got a point, but the gameplay still just kills me. The online only, no VATs. Ugh.
Yeah,
but he's right. The story has been much improved by recent updates. It's a much more solid game, and the user content is actually contribution instead of just annoying as heck. So visiting somebody else's camp, people are competing for making the coolest camp. So I explored other people's camps as much as I did the world just recently. So yeah, 76 has improved a lot.
So my problem with it in general is the having to be online only. There's that pay for some way to generally on those kind of games, you got to pay for some way to protect your character when you're not able to be at the computer, and that I just get too obsessive with that kind of stuff. So I have to be able to have one that the world freezes when I stop it, so I don't go a little nuts. So
I don't know if they change this because I don't remember people messing with me much or on original release, but when I replayed other people expose their camps, but you can't hurt them, right? So you could, it was just like a playground. There wasn't much you could do to mess with other people that I could find. But I'm not a PvPer, so I wouldn't look for ways. So I'm not one of those guys who screws with people anyway. But it seemed much more. And my friend Brian, who got back into it, he's one of those who hates that crap too. And he wasn't complaining about it. He's saying, yeah, it's not so much a deal.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse, how did you first find it?
I picked up Fallout 3. I did not grow up with the Fallout series. It had always been just kind of off my radar. And then I saw 3, and I had been playing things like Morrowind and stuff like that had that cool open world exploring aspect. And I thought, okay, cool, I'll try this out. Fell in love, went back, played some of the older original games, played New Vegas, played 4. I have not tried 76 yet.
Yeah, the older games were. I mean, most people found it when they got to 3 because they were on the consoles, and they weren't. You didn't require as much skill to get into it like some of the old computer systems had or required. So that is not unusual. Most people got into the Elder Scrolls at Morrowind for the same reason.
Yeah.
So, what about you, JT?
So going way back, I started in the post-apoc games with Wasteland back in the late 80s.
Yeah, I was going to bring that one up. I'm sorry. I am just a swear potty mouth today.
So I played that one for a long time.
I was going to be the geezer. I was going to make the geezer play.
And then later, I think it was 98, I went to an Egghead computer store and picked up an Interplay box set of 10 games for something like $20. And it had Fallout 1 in it. And so I played Fallout religiously for a while. And then Fallout 2. And I just worked my way through the entire series. Got my youngest daughter hooked on it. She loves Fallout 4.
Right. So the problem, though, with the $20 you spent for that game in the 1980s, you could probably buy a house with that by now with the way inflation is going. So if you would just save that $20, you'd be like buying your McMansion already.
Well, it didn't help Egghead either. So, I mean, they're gone.
All right. What about you, Jacob? How did you find it?
Like I said, I'm going to make the play for Wasteland. I have a friend, Jay, who's just heavy into our post-apocalypse stuff, and he talked about the Wasteland, and I played the game and hated it so bad. so I didn't play it much. I can't say I played it much, but I had a really bad taste for post-apocalypse as a result. But when the late 90s came around and he mentioned Fallout, and Jay's like, no, it's totally better. And I said, okay, fine. And fell in love. So yeah, Fallout from forever. I bought I'm pretty sure I paid real retail price for all the Fallouts.
Nice.
Not that I'm a mega fan and my memory isn't great, so I'm not gonna remember anything except the broad strokes of any of them. But yeah, Fallout's got a place in my heart, I guess. I even bought 76 retail, even though even at the time people were saying no, this game sucks.
Yeah, Nick, I know it's not your normal jam, but had you heard of it at least?
Yeah. No, I'm familiar with the franchise. It's like I have so many damn hobbies and I play so many damn video games. Like if we were talking about Assassin's Creed, Halo, Medal of Honor, Modern Warfare, any of those, like all right, cool. I have a horse in the race, but like I'm familiar with the franchise, and like my little brother plays the hell out of it. One Christmas I bought him that little wrist device, was like a Pip Boy or something like that.
Pip Boy, yeah.
So like I'm familiar with it. I am a freaking casual. If you want to give me a term of what I am, I'm a casual. I'm aware of the game. I'm aware of the lore, kinda. But did I ever play the game? No. But it's something that I've always wanted to get into. But I had other shit that I was doing. So, like, it kind of like fell off to the wayside. Next thing you know, there's like 90 games of the shit. So it happens.
I had to when Steam first came out and you could get some of the emulators for some of the old games and you could start playing them again. I got back into it, but I realized I could play the video games or I could write the words, and nobody pays me to play video games, so I had to put that away for a little bit. But yeah, I remember finding Fallout through Fallout 3, and then I was hooked. And then I loved in New Vegas, and I loved Fallout 4. I loved all of the expansions, so I'd end up buying it twice because I'd buy the original on launch day, and then I'd buy the Game of the Year edition where it had all the bonus content added to it. Because I'm that kind of sucker. I loved the TV show. I know some people didn't like it. I felt it got the vibe right. It was true to the lore. It added stuff that wasn't necessarily in the games, but I don't think it contradicted anything. And there's talk about doing a Fallout game set in Boston. So I'll be curious to see what future Boston sounds like with a Massachusetts accent. In the
Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 is in Boston.
Uh-huh.
I thought, is it? It's been a while since I played it. My Xbox has dust on it because it's been a little bit.
Yeah, you walk the Freedom Trail and all of that happy nonsense in that Boston area. Yeah,
you're right. I didn't remember that's what it was, but you're right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See, I don't get that deep into the lore. I just have fun shooting the things. So, but I also enjoyed the show. I like what they added to it. So yeah. When you guys play the games, do you get into the lore or do you just, go in for the shooty experience?
Oh, I'm that nerd that reads every terminal entry, every note, and just digs and digs and digs and digs. And then I'll play through it multiple times. I'll get every ending possible. And somehow I always end up getting like the perfect, like nice guy ending when I just play through the first time, but then I'll intentionally go through and play as like Caesar's inside with Caesar's Legion or the Institute or whatever, and be the bad guy next.
Wait, who said Caesar's Legion was the bad guy?
Everybody.
Well, they're just wrong. Clearly, they're just misunderstood.
Uh-huh.
They have slaves, but on the bright side, really safe roads. Really safe roads.
They did, and really safe roads.
Great infrastructure. Trains ran on time.
The ones I didn't like were the Brotherhood of Steel. They were just jerks.
It depends on the game. Like in 3, I thought they were okay. I absolutely hated them. I always nuked the bunker in New Vegas. And then I just like to screw with them in 4.
Well, the story turned them into racist jerkwads. So in 4, you kind of gotta hate them. I mean, that degree of racism is just distasteful.
Yeah, there's not a lot of depth to them in 4 either.
No, they removed all depth to them, and that's the kind of the head rewrite you can do in 3. Is you can read them either way in 3. They can be kind of the power mad jerkwads, or you can believe the scribes and go, oh yeah, they're just collecting technology for fun to preserve it. They're a source of good loot.
They're definitely a good loot drop.
Right.
Good armor.
And if you preserve enough faction, you can get their stores, and they sell good loot too. You can buy good ammo.
Yeah. There was one of the games, I can't remember which one it was, where you actually got to fight in the Great War against the Chinese.
It was.
Is that anything?
That was add-on to 3.
It was Operation Anchorage. That was 3 add-on. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That was
right.
I really enjoyed that one. That add-on.
I like the expansions to 3.
I did too. Sierra Madre was that was New Vegas.
Yeah.
But I liked some of the expansions to 3. I started Anchorage and didn't get into it, but the pit was not bad. If you just
I like the pit.
If you ignored that Union politics, was still being referenced 200 years after the apocalypse, that kind of inconsistency. But it was enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked. There's also Fallout 4 had the submarine with the Chinese captain that survived as a ghoul. I like that one too. That add-on. I don't know if wait, was that an add-on or was that just part
It
of
was
the
part.
game?
It was part of the game. It was just one mission.
Yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of exploring it, and I liked exploring a lot of the settings, like the aircraft carrier that became a town, and you could explore. It was kind of cool.
Rivet City, I think it was.
Yeah.
Three.
I got a random question for everybody. How many people blew up Megaton?
I did it a couple times.
You got to do it at least once.
Yeah, I'll go back in a save game, and I did it, but I kind of felt dirty afterwards.
I did too, and I did too, and that's why immediately after I killed everyone in Tenpenny Tower.
Just to be completionist, you might as well. Why not?
Yeah, that was my first run was my compromise. I didn't blow up Megaton that one because I wanted to keep the town because it's in a spot where you need somewhere to hang out and resupply and everything like that. It's just inconvenient to blow it up. But I did murder everybody in that tower. Absolutely.
You heartless bastards.
Well,
it's a wasteland, man.
Some people need killing.
Yeah. I enjoyed exploring
right? You get to explore the what if question.
One of my favorite things to do in Fallout is to shoot anyone who's rude in the face.
Yes.
Oh, you shoot everybody.
Well, while you think about shooting them in the face, we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly show for the man, and then we'll say a few Hail Marys, and we'll come back to bombing Riverton.
Okay.
Grab your swords and get ready to level up. When gaming journalist Ray experiences a tragic accident with the next generation of gaming consoles, he finds himself stuck in the mystical land of Valka. Trapped in a world filled with magic beasts, warring factions, filthy bandits, and a level system that's out of this world. The only problem is, his only way out may be through. Ray must fight like his life depends on it because it just may. Survival means victory, and defeat could mean the end. Forever. Legends Online Genesis. Releases on Audible January 7th. Digital and hard copies now available on Amazon.
I really ought to update that commercial because that's kind of old. It's been available in audio for a while, but it's still a good series, so I keep it around. So did you guys watch the TV series? I think it was Prime that did it.
Yeah, it was Amazon Prime. I thought it was really good. I thought
I really dug it. I'm waiting for season 2.
Yeah, and the ghoul is the best character, I think.
The first episode. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you have more, JR?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, the best line in the whole show is when the ghoul says, "Thou shalt be distracted by random shit," because that is Fallout in one sentence.
I liked the first episode a lot. I was watching it with Melissa, and I would have continued, but Melissa's it's a little too gory horror kind of thing, and that's not her thing. So if I wanted to take the free time, yeah, I'd be totally into it because I thought it did good. It captured it captured the feel of it, had an interesting story. As a fan, I could catch the clues that they all missed about the bad guys being the bad guys. And the main character, who doesn't like a main character that can then mess it up and kick family friendly.
Yeah, I really dug it. I like the 50s sort of old westy vibe that you get from this version of the future. One of my favorite pastimes in the game is to go around and shoot the various cars to watch them explode because they've got the nuclear reactors in the back. And they kept that vibe in the series to include like the guy that was the ghouls, that character, Cooper, I think his name was. I really dug that whole interaction where he's at that party and he's like definitely does not want to be there, but he's there anyway. at that party where he's the cowboy for the birthday party for the kids. Cooper Howard was the guy's name, the character's name.
Yeah.
I really like that opening. I like, where all the people didn't quite realize what that mushroom cloud meant. And so they're just sitting there like, we're going to be okay in our glass house. And Cooper's like, yeah, we're getting the hell out of Dodge, took his kid, and they bounced on the horse. So I really enjoyed that. What did you guys think of the various atrocities that occurred in the various vaults where they were all experimenting on peoples?
I like
Some of them
that.
are pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I like that spin. I like the vault tech as I think it's fun. The fun part of Fallout is that nobody is really spotless in any way, shape, or form, because I feel like that's the truth of any big war or historical event, is that everybody had dirt somewhere and everybody was doing something despicable somewhere, and now we're just trying to figure out, how the chips fall. So Vault Tech manipulating everyone and performing experiments even with the end of the world was a cool twist, and some of them the stories are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Corporation as mad scientist is a great place to explore. Great mashup. Having the corporation play, let's see what mad scientist thinks we can do in the vaults. It makes every time I discover a new vault, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get to see something interesting here, whether it's plants taking over the thing or a various experiment. Whatever it is, it's going to be highly thematic and it's going to be interesting.
I think one of the things you get the impression when you see the flashbacks, which is one of the best parts of the TV series, is you see like none of them really thought through, because that's one of the big flaws if you look at the lore. Why would these companies start like these vaults that are supposed to help humanity rise from the dust and then like doom them all to fail?
Mad scientist.
Right. The only thing that makes sense is if there's a bunch of hidden normie vaults for all the other peoples, right, where they're waiting, because you would almost need to balance the experimental vaults with real ones. Otherwise,
that's too rational. They're just flat out mad scientists.
Well, that actually does happen. There are a few normal vaults in the games, and Coop's wife in the show says, like, no, we need to get into one of the good vaults. And he's like, what does that mean?
Yes, I remembered that. I was watching it. I know what that means. I like that he was like a curmudgeon about the Pip-Boy, and he didn't want to be like tied to the technology. And she's like, no, everyone has to have it to interface. And I kind of feel like that became what cell phones are, right? Like everybody at first, you didn't want one. You didn't want to be tied to that virtual chain where someone could call you whenever, but now you can't function without one. And that's kind of how tech evolves. First, it's a luxury. Then it's, I don't like it. And then I can't function without it because everyone else is using it. And I thought they encapsulated that very well with the Pip-Boy on the wrist, which I really enjoyed. The actors in that show were pretty good. I think we ought to do a whole episode where we just go into the show itself, because there was just so much there. With all of the characters, the way they did everything. What did you guys think about the way they portray in the franchise, kind of writ large, the both the ghouls and like the raiders and stuff, how they envision that stuff? Does that strike true to you? Do you guys like how that's portrayed?
I think you get a nice mix of like most of the raiders are dumb as crap, but like there's a bunch of different kinds. Like there's some that are very Mad Maxy. There's some that are like private military almost, and then you got slavers. You got ones that are basically just people down on their luck doing what they can to survive. So you almost can't fault them. You still shoot them, but and then there was the Little Lamplight or something. You had the little kids that were basically raiders, more or less. And then ghouls are interesting. I'm not gonna lie. If real world scenario, I don't care if you're feral or not. If you look like that, I'm probably gonna shoot you.
Yeah. Well, the kids actually caused a huge controversy in the gaming world because pretty much everything in Fallout is play how you want, right? You do what you want. You shoot or befriend whoever you want. But the developers made the kids invulnerable, and that caused a pretty serious rift in the fan base, with people on either side saying yes they should, and others saying no they shouldn't because it's my game. I'm going to play the way I want, and everybody's kind of like, well, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
Killable Kids is definitely a moral testing ground.
Right.
As for the ghouls, I think it's an interesting trade-off: immortality for looking like that. The vampires drinking blood for immortality. I'll take that trade-off, but I'm going to think hard about a ghoul. Do I want to live for a couple hundred years with no nose? I'd have to think about
And
that.
eventually go
really, really good at makeup.
Well, I don't know if it's a given that they'll go feral.
Oh.
If you're stable for 200 to 250 years, I think you've got the stability thing.
I thought there was a requirement of exposure to something that made them turn feral.
Well, I thought it was the drugs that he was taking that kept him from going feral.
There's one storyline where somebody gets trapped in a basement, and they all turn ghouls, but only one of them isn't feral. So that would seem to mitigate against there being an outside factor besides personal genetic. I don't know, chance.
Yeah, I thought there was a storyline on that.
There's a minor side quest with one ghoul, and she tells her story, and she says, we were trapped in the basement. All my other people went feral, and I didn't. And she like protected them as long as she could, but eventually they I think you might be the one that puts them down. I don't know. It's kind of a vague memory, but I do remember she's down there with I don't know, family, and she's the only one who kept her mind.
I remember that one. I just thought there was
and you see some of that where like with the generals, ghouls sort of fill the role of zombies do in a storytelling mode, and so you'll get people that are like this was my family, so I can't really kill it even though it's not real, and so like they end up keeping the dangerous animal the dangerous creature because it's family, but the creature doesn't see them as family. And there are a couple storylines when you're going through the wasteland where you find like villages that had been decimated. And it was very clear that if you read the context clues, that the ghouls had been kept for whatever reason. And it gives you that vibe you get from, what was that? The zombie one that was in the TV show. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, TBI brain is in there. Walking Dead, yeah, they had that one where in the beginning, remember the Walking Dead, that farm, they were keeping them because they thought they could save them. It kind of gave some of those setups where you think maybe some of these people were keeping the ghouls for some reason. So,
in I think it was New Vegas, they have the glowing one who's not feral. I thought that was actually an interesting storyline where he's trying to save his people. Did they go to the moon or something? I forget what it was, but I think it's the Rocket Man quest something. I think that's in New Vegas. Where you've got the rational glowing one, and you can go in and talk to him.
I think that was in the Nuka-Cola expansion in 4.
That might be. I just remember he was so zen as the glowing one. I'm like, okay, this is an interesting twist.
Oh no, I think you're right. That was in New Vegas. The glowing one that talked in 4 was evil, and you eventually kill him.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Nuka-Cola. So what did you guys think of the concept of basically a Coca-Cola stand-in, but it was radioactive as a drink that people enjoyed?
You mean Coke isn't?
Well, that's what makes it brilliant, right? I love it. As if you can get consumers to take a little bit of radioactivity just in a cola. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? This is a great twist. Nuka-Cola.
Well, I mean, that
may as well lean into it.
Historically, that's not actually like totally unfounded. In the 20s, women put radium on their teeth to make them glow.
Yep. The radium girls.
Yeah.
God.
And women using mercury or whatever for that wasn't it. It was arsenic, using arsenic to make their skin glow in the Victorian days. Just a little bit of poison is just fine.
As
I
long as
guess.
you look pretty.
Botox.
Mad
Yeah.
Hatters.
So one of the things I really liked about this is one of the things that gets wrong is how much debris is going to be left around that you can loot. Like, chances are any of that food you find from pre-war that's going to actually be edible. Yeah. But I like the bottle.
I love that though. I mean, it means that the food became so processed that it's going to last 200 and some odd years. I'm like, yeah, okay,
basically
sure,
Twinkies.
why not? Well, yeah, whatever. The food is so bad by the time the end comes that it can last for 200 years. It's like the Nuka-Cola. Why not?
Just refry the McDonald's French fries.
This is an experiment where the person kept the McDonald's Big Mac combo for like 30 years, and it still looks fresh. You can't really tell. No mold.
Actually, a few people out there.
Did that. Yeah, Burger King did that. Yeah.
Just throw it back in some fry oil, and you're good to go.
And it's great.
I also like it's more an aesthetic thing because it's kind of one of the things Fallout is known for. But the bottle caps as currency, I really like that angle because I mean paper money. What good is that? But there's not a lot of bottling plants, so for a scarcity's mindset, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it just go along with it. I mean, if you think too hard about it, maybe not, but sure, why not?
Oh, you need like the fusion card.
Plus the twist that you drink a Nuka-Cola and have a bottle cap. I mean, yeah, okay, keep the cola or have a bottle cap.
So this is
something that they think about in the game, though. Like in one of the games, when you actually drink a cola, you actually gain a bottle cap.
Exactly, I love it. I love that. And I think that I don't know if that was in all of them, but I remember doing it in 3 and going, oh yeah, okay, yeah, why not?
And this is an example of some of the cars that we were talking about earlier. This is some of the art from some of the games. But yeah, I really dig the way they stayed true to the aesthetic throughout all of them. I like the bottle cap as currency. The Nuka-Cola was just kind of funny, but then again, we put actual cocaine in Coca-Cola back in the day, so
we need to bring that back.
Oh, Coca-Cola it just sells it to the pharmaceuticals.
So what was it, JT? You said from the wiki, the ghouls are driven to madness by their physical transformation and the suffering they endure, which is what makes them become feral.
Yeah, so if the ghouls maintain their sanity, then they stay ghouls. If they go insane, then that is the process that begins turning them feral.
Okay. When you came to play style, did you guys go for the up close and personal, or did you do the sniping from a distance when you guys are playing the various games?
Depends on the enemy.
Yeah, the massive Goliath-sized ghouls you kind of keep your distance from.
Yeah, the one shots suck.
I snipe as much as I can, Get distance, see if I can get the headshot. My there's no dopamine like a headshot dopamine.
Yeah.
My first playthrough.
3 in New Vegas, I would sit back and snipe, but that's because I thought if you were shooting outside of VATS, the controls were kind of clunky. Yeah. But 4, the gunplay in 4 was so smooth that I sometimes forgot VATS was there, and you get the power armor so early that I was just running around in power armor, just like blasting things full auto.
Yeah.
I would always do guns first playthrough just because it's kind of familiar, and that, I mean, honestly, like, are you going to walk over and try and punch a Deathclaw? No. Nobody in their right mind, no matter, like, it's not one of those things. Your brain says, I don't need to get anywhere near that. But round 2, coming back for a second playthrough, was like a Terry Crews build, strength and charisma. And you just, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to make a character that can beat, like, a radioactive bear to death with a steel pipe. Like, let's do it this time.
So one of the funny things was the perks actually, like a lot of times, in video games, that there's no difference between the male or the female in strength. Like there's not a real limitation on the video games. Now RPGs will go there if your DM wants to, but on the video games, There's actually in this one, strangely, an advantage to being a female character because there are more male NPCs to interact with, and you could do the flirt feature on there if you've got the female character and get away with so much. I tried that once as a playthrough, but it just felt too weird. So I just killed that one and started again.
Black Widow was a great perk. I almost exclusively play female characters. Frankly, the storyline fits way better for Fallout 3, playing a character, for me at least aesthetically. Searching for the long lost dad. I get the feeling that when I tried the male playthrough, it just changed the dynamic of that. I mean, the whole male breakout on your own, establish yourself guy. I had a hard time respecting the protagonist in 3 as a guy, but I almost exclusively play female characters. I don't know. That's it. Even when I play Morpicas, I tend to go female and explore the world from that perspective. And I don't know. Which to the credit of Fallout, I don't know if you ever got the Grognak outfit. It's pretty good gear on the Grognak if you're going to do upfront and personal combat. If you're in melee combat, but since I was a sniper all the time, I gave that outfit to the female companion, and they changed the cosmetics on the Grognak by gender, which was funny.
One of the things I did like was the when it comes to the world, that the characters actually interact with you differently based on the character you build. Sometimes it's very obviously a rote. It doesn't matter who you are, you show up, you're getting the same interaction. That's not the case in a lot of the Fallout. So I really did enjoy that. I think you're right. The looking for the dad angle definitely felt more like a girl searching for her dad. I can see that. I just looked at it more pragmatically. There were more male NPCs to flirt with, so it just made sense. But yeah, my favorite weapon though of all of them. Did you guys ever go to the workbench where you could build the junk gun, where you just shoot whatever random crap pick up? Favorite one.
Yeah, that was fun, but I prefer the railgun. If I'm going to go for the gimmick gun, shooting a spike and pinning somebody's head to the wall is going to be my favorite.
But you can throw coffee cups.
Thrill of killing somebody with a teddy bear.
Or a coffee cup was my favorite.
Yeah.
So, did you guys have a favorite kind of place to explore when you're going through the franchise? For me, it was always the bunkers, the vaults, but some of the old towns where you could go through, where what's left of them after the nuclear explosion. I really dig that too.
I loved Rivertown.
Yeah, me too. But I grew up near Navy bases, so it kind of made sense to me. What about you, Jesse?
I think Megaton felt like home in 3. And I think my favorite one, if I had to pick a favorite, was 4. 4 pissed me off my first playthrough because it wasn't really open world in my opinion. And what I mean by that is that if you take a wrong turn, all the death claws kill you. Or you run into the Cazadors, which are worse. And so, but once you got strong enough that you didn't care anymore, I had a whole lot of fun going to the dam and just exploring that wasteland, and then finally getting to walk into that god-awful forsaken wilderness full of way too many predators for any ecosystem to ever, support. But that was, that as far as exploration goes, that was my favorite, was 4. Or not 4, I'm sorry, New Vegas.
Yeah, I have a hard New Vegas. I have a hard time picking a favorite because one of the things that Fallout does really well is make each of their locations just really impactful. Like New Vegas with its western feel and the Las Vegas with the King's gang that's all that's all Elvis based, and Sierra Madre as an add-in was one of my favorite things to explore. Was great, and I think all of they do when they do the story based thing, I think they do a great job with place, and I liked exploring. It's part of my draw to Fallout, frankly, is to see how they've interpreted the far future with the casino or the Las Vegas or the battleship town or the megaton where it's essentially a crater. All these different things are dynamically expressed or strongly imprinted, I guess. So part of what I like about Fallout is finding a new place and seeing how did they interpret this in the Fallout. And I'm sorry, I went intellectual, didn't I?
No.
But that's part of what I like. And Fallout does this thing where it tells it with environmental storytelling that can sometimes hit you in the gut. Like I'll be exploring some kid's bedroom and getting a feel for this kid's their enthusiasms, whether it's whether it's two skeletons in a clinch in the bed, and you're like, oh man, they met their end together, and that kind of thing. That kind of storytelling through environment is a hallmark of the Fallout, and the best ones lean into that, I think.
I like that you got to explore the town in Fallout 4 where you started at, and then the bomb hits and you come back. And so you can see the remains of some of the people that didn't get into the bunker where they fell like outside. You can see the guards that didn't get let into the bunker and they just kind of died where they stood. And you're like, could you imagine being that guy standing guard thinking, yeah, I've got to be a dick and let these people die out here, but they're going to let me in and I'm going to be good. So I'll do what I got to do. And then they're like, psych, you get to die too. And so the storytelling there, and then going back to your old house, and that one was kind of fun. What did you guys think of the music? You've got that radio station constantly going in the background playing like the 1950s music. Some people mute it. I dig it. I like the aesthetic that it brings.
Wasn't it New Vegas that had Wayne Newton?
I don't remember all of the songs, but I just remember the 1950s.
Yeah, so one of them, I believe it was New Vegas, had Wayne Newton actually being the radio announcer.
Really? So they had Which Colored Sky, Don't Let the Stars, Don't Let the Stars Get in Your Eyes, Who You Suppose. There's a whole playlist of all the songs that were licensed for Fallout.
Man, Leg Iron.
Leg Iron, yeah.
Yeah. I think the music is an integral part of the experience. I can still hear, like, I know all the words to Big Iron because of New Vegas. And I can still, Three Dog from Fallout 3. Three Dog, ow! Like, I can still, like, hear it in my head. Like, and it's part of that aesthetic that makes Fallout so cool. Fallout invented a dark age. It invented an age where culture doesn't advance in a noticeable direction in that way. It's this 50s dark age that all of that stuck, and that was the past, but no one's really gathering everyone together, and everybody else is scrounging. It's this weird feudal dark age feel from that culture, which is really cool because everybody looks back on that thinking like Leave It to Beaver and these. It was an idyllic time, and they took an idyllic time and twisted it, and it just comes out really cool. And the music really helps with
that. I agree. It's each of the different locations of the Fallout games has a strong imprint on the music, and having that Western theme in New Vegas. I'll be honest. In most games, one of the first things I do is turn the music off. Because so many games overplay their music. I don't do that for Fallout, and maybe it's because it's not meant to be part of the emotional play. So battles don't change your. And I'll just listen to I'll have the radio playing in the background because typically it's a good selection and it's it goes with the background. It fits, like you said. Three Dog was a great in 3. The Western in New Vegas, it's a strong element of the games. I got a mod for one of the games that let me extend the playlist to things that they couldn't license just from that era, just because I was digging the vibe of having the radio on with that kind of stuff.
One of the things I really also liked to go with the music was the political propaganda that the floating Mr. Handy bots were just like, putting these proclamations out there, support the government. And of course, the government's dead. And so the cool thing is this thing is on a loop and has been for however long, until you decide to get creative like I do. And I always shoot the bots down. but it's always fun to watch them just spewing the same propaganda. And the historian in me just loves that, because we still find propaganda in like Pompeii. Some things never change, right? And that's one of them. So you've been quiet, JR. What about you? You digging the music? You like the?
Yes, though I will say sometimes I don't always have the radio going in Fallout 4, because Fallout 4 actually has a really good score. Like the actual like symphonic music that goes with the game and does change with like battles and
Right.
Discovering
the
things.
part I turn off.
Yeah, it's actually really good in 4. I don't really remember it in 3 or New Vegas, probably because I just always had the radio going. But I'll turn off the radio a lot in 4 and just listen to the music that's there in the background.
One of the things I liked about the Fallout movies that Amazon put out was you actually get to go to that radio station and you talk to the DJ in one of those episodes, which was just totally cool. And he was a little bit crazy, and I kind of like that about him. Like the minefield to get to his place. That's going to be Nick when he grows up. I can see it now, like the minefields and all the bombs, and like, is your armor rated for this?
I think it's funny that you're assuming that I'm going to grow up.
That's fair. Does anybody have any closing thoughts? This is such a large franchise that we could almost make a whole episode about the lore of each individual game and add-on that came out. But did you guys have any final thoughts writ large?
So there was a discussion before Fallout 3 came out as to whether or not the first-person viewpoint was actually going to work, because traditionally 1 and 2 were always third-person isometric. And Black Isle Studios was working on one that they had codenamed Van Buren that got canceled right before I think it was Bethesda bought the Fallout franchise. And when they converted it to first person, the amount of discussions about how the game was either going to be ruined or great, they were all over the place. And so I'm just happy to see that it succeeded quite well. They made some good choices.
Yeah, I really liked the first person, but I didn't play any of the originals. Although I did play the Fallout Shelters, which is basically the bunker building that you can do on the iPhone or the app or whatever. I played that for a while. When I realized I was putting too much money into it, because you just buy a pack of bottle caps for 99 cents, so you can, and then you realize those 99 cents add up real quick, so I had to delete the game.
I have that experience. I have a kind of a list of flavorful locations I wish a Fallout game would hit. Fallout Seattle and see what they do with the coffee, or my favorite, Fallout New Orleans. What would they do with New Orleans in a Fallout situation? Would it be flooded? Would it be how much Cajun would they put into it? Would Bourbon Street survive? Any place with a strong local flavor, I think. What would Fallout do to this place as kind of a favorite head game? And if it ever happens, I hope it happens well. But there's some places that I'd really like to see what Fallout would do with this city, because it has such a strong personality.
Yeah, if you're going to do New Orleans, though, you need at least one reference to the Cajun Navy.
Well, yeah, and can you imagine? Can you imagine the World War II History Museum in? I'm sorry, I'm nerding out on New Orleans now, but having that as a location and a Fallout would be just fun.
Well, it's going to depend on whether or not it's underwater, because if the pumps fail, I believe if 13 pumps fail, the entire city goes underwater.
Yeah. So maybe maybe half of the game is you have to get something that lets you breathe underwater or something, maybe,
or fix the pumps.
Or fix the pumps. Yeah.
I feel like every time a new Fallout game is announced, there's always a rumor and then like 12 fake websites showing it in New Orleans.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
One of the things that they never factor in is mostly because it's just irradiated, but like the deserts out west would actually combine into one mega desert, and eventually the dam would stop. And they never really address like you're not going to the Hoover Dam. It'd be interesting if they factor in what really happens, or you get to some of like the actual. Obviously, this is like an alternative version of Earth, but I'd like to see like maybe some of the actual nuke factories or nuclear power plants, like how they take on that, because we've seen some of the irradiation that happened outside of Chernobyl. So I mean, it's not like they have nothing to go on for inspiration for some of those fallout.
I don't know. In a world where they're putting nuclear plants in your car, I don't know if that's. Yeah, I don't know if that's a theme they'd explore, but it'd be interesting, maybe.
Yeah, there's just so much interesting ideas out there. So I'll keep playing as long as they keep making them good. And hopefully they make them for consoles and not online, because that's where I draw the line. I don't do the online gaming. Too addicting. So anybody else got any closing thoughts before we wrap this up? JR, got anything you want to add on the way out the door?
Nope. I just really wish they'd hurry up and release Fallout 5. It's been, what, 10 years almost since the last major entry in the series? Like, because I'm not counting 76.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the success of the TV version of it might spur them to do more again.
76 made them shy, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that wasn't like the players not willing to go there. It was the developers doing such a crappy job.
Yeah, like they broke the pattern. Like they just had to follow the tried and true strategy. Like, just give us the same shit in a different place, and we would have all bought it.
And a new vault number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing is there's a bunch of YouTube channels that like catalog all the different lore from all the different places, and they get nerdy. Like, they go to every location and they'll transcribe all of those like journal entries, the computer logs with the MS-DOS looking prompts that I remember from the Commodore 84 I had as a kid. Like, there's a whole Fallout lore channel on YouTube where they just track all of that. They get really nerdy with it, and I love it. So, all right, well then, if we're going to wrap this up, this is the part as we bring this to a close. Dear listeners, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books, and since we like authors and we like books, review them, dang it. And with that, JR, how can listeners and viewers find you at home?
So
not your home, but your digital home.
Oh, okay. I really didn't want to give out my address. That seems weird. But I've got a website, jrwise.com. My only book I currently have out right now, Terra Ascending, is on Amazon. I'm poking around on Instagram a lot at The Wise Author. I'm on Facebook, but I don't really pay much attention to it unless JR's messaging me about hopping on a podcast.
Nice. And Nick, I do think the way he pulls the smartassery out on these episodes, that he's like gunning for our job, because that's normally our thing. I don't know.
That's just
maybe it's just a universal infantry thing. I don't know.
Probably.
All right, Jesse, how can we find you online?
Outlawauthor.com will get you everywhere else. It has links to Substack, X, Instagram, pretty much anything. Substack is kind of the home base. You'll get long form content and some free stories from me. And that's where you're probably going to find the most interesting stuff. I am on Instagram. I am on X. Feel free to add me. I have my Facebook page. The Facebook page is a personal page that all my writing stuff is on there, but you're going to get guns, tattoos, all that stuff too, and my personal opinions. So yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Are they family-friendly personal opinions?
Absolutely. Bleep me here, not. Nothing I do is family-friendly if it's not recorded. So anyway, no.
Absolutely. I can approve of that. All right, JT, how can we find you on the wild interwebs?
Hey, so you can find me on my website, jtrail.com. You can find me on Twitter. I am on Facebook, though mostly I don't use it. So, good luck. I'm on Instagram, but that's mostly just following my friends. So Twitter's the best place.
All right. And since Jacob is standing in for Melissa McShane, author extraordinaire, her links will be in the show note, melissamcshanewrites.com. And you can go buy her books because he wants to buy more Fallout stuff. So she needs to sell more copies, people.
Make me a kept man.
That's right. Do it for Jacob. He needs more stuff.
Yeah, do it for me.
Go get some more hamster.
And the war hamster.
Yeah,
Did she tell you about that?
Exactly.
Did she tell you about that, Jacob?
About the war hamster. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, it was an honest accident, and then I Googled it, and I'm like, that actually looks like kind of cool concept art, like the hamster paladin.
Well, now it's war were hamster.
Well, so last episode that we recorded, but not that has aired yet because we're doing weird, but we said, Melissa and I agreed that when we both get done with the projects we're working on, we're going to write a proper war hamster trilogy, just so we can say we did it. And my mom kept thinking I was saying were hamster, like werewolf, not war hamster. And so now she's like, well, which is it? And so finally she's decided, because she couldn't understand, I guess. She thinks we're writing where war hamsters, or is it war were hamsters? I'm not sure, but it's going to be a shift in mother effer, is all I'm saying.
It's a were hamster that does war, so it's a war were hamster, and whoever does the audiobook is going to hate you.
Set it in New Hampshire.
Oh, even better.
Or were hamster in New Hampshire. Oh my God, I just broke my tongue.
That's like Sally selling sheep. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
No.
We broke the internet. All right. You can find us on our link tree at linktr.ee, linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChutes, the Rumbles, the YouTubes, the TikToks, maybe the Twitter, the Spotify. We have our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. We have our email at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Madam Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, Twitter, and the emails. You could support the show over at buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that it is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee till it comes out of their nose. I was going to say something else, but I didn't want to hit them in the family friendlies. That might be need to go on some merch there, Nick. And if you want to get some of that coffee brand coffee, be sure to use the link in the show notes. Code Podcast Grunts gets you 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. You shop local. It's a win-win, people. And their hot chocolate is amazing. So if you don't drink the coffees and you don't drink the teas, they got the hot chocolates. And with that, thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time. We will indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, I'm going to hit the end button. Don't cuss yet, Nick. Dang it. Wait.